Hey everyone, I'm Leona Towner, your host for today's episode of Let Me Find Out, NABJ Chicago chapter's newest platform, platforming our own. We have so many talented, amazing digital, video, audio creatives, and we're just gonna tell you guys all about them. As we find out, you're gonna find out. But first, before we jump right into this episode, with our guest Eats from the Streets, we have one of the two co-hosts coming up just very shortly. I wanted to share another major tenet of our organization, which is literacy. Not just media literacy, but literacy in general, with letting you know what I'm reading right now. We got the warmth of other suns. I have been in Chicago for 3 years, and as I learn more about the culture, reading books like this that are really giving me, the history lessons, the Great Migration. It's so cool. I went to this event with Ketanji Brown Jackson, and the author Isabel Wilkerson was her host. So look, I got me a fine copy. I know y'all gonna see here and look at the signature. Okay. But y'all need to read this because I am only 3 chapters in, and Jesus Christ, the detail. I would have never guessed a journalist wrote this. But it's already got multiple awards. I don't think there's anything more that I can do other than tell you that it is an amazing read and I got it. So I'm going to keep showing it right here. You need to read this. Now that that is out of the way, with no further ado, I want to introduce to you guys one half of Eats from the Streets, a new platform teaching us where to go to get the goods. And we know this is Chicago, so it's literally like almost every street you can find something amazing to eat. But NABJ Chicago chapter member has made this platform, and I'm going to welcome her on right now. Okay, and today we have a very talented digital creator on the podcast. Some may know her as Lady M, Mother, but she loves Marquita just the same. Welcome to our podcast, Marquita.
Hey, 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 how you doing, Leona?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I was so excited when I was just scrolling through Instagram and I saw the Eats from the Streets trailer because I have been seeing so many, digital foodie things coming up, and to know that we have something created right in our own membership is just so exciting. So I know you're only one half of the crew from Eats from the Streets, but can you tell
Yeah,
me
yeah.
what that's about?
Yeah, so Eats from the Streets is a really incredible passion project, actually, that bloomed into what it is now. So me and my other half, Angel, she and I, when we were doing all of the content and fun capturing during the NABJ convention that we hosted in Chicago, holding it down. Yeah, like when you're kind of working and doing those late nights and when you're doing the things and then sidebar conversations happen and we just have things, ideas and passion projects that aligned. I was at NBC when we had a weekend chef and I started in the health unit there actually as an intern in grad school. And so health and healthy, nutritious cooking, and then just experimenting in the kitchen and that kind of thing is like another thing that I do on my own. I make a lot of plant-based dishes myself and that kind of thing. And so through conversations, it led to us going, you know what, we really want to create something that celebrates food culture throughout the neighborhoods in Chicago and truly beyond. And so my natural affinity to about 8 neighborhoods in Chicago. Like Chicago is definitely like I would say third home in ways because I'm start in Savannah, Georgia. Michigan is a big part of my life. I went to Michigan State and have
Okay,
family and friends out there.
lucky
So go
college.
green. And then Chicago, I've been here now for like right over a decade. And
Ooh,
so grad school, then, I started at WVON for work as a production associate for like a year. Then I moved on to Lynn Norman. For those who know Lynn Norman, when she was here those years, I was administrative assistant for her. And we used to cook and do all kinds of things together on
So
kind of like
cooking is just it's just been weaving its way through.
it
You just
really
not
just
gonna leave it
been,
alone.
you know what I mean? Like I feel like Black culture, food culture, family connection, community. So literally that's what this show is, this love letter to food, community, connection, like food brings all of us together, right? And so I wanted to go back to neighborhoods like Lincoln Square when I lived over there, Old Town when I lived in off Woodlawn neighborhood off 61st and Woodlawn right near University of Chicago, Rogers Park. Like I've lived a little bit of everywhere. Now I've been in like the West neighborhoods, like West Loop, Ukrainian Village, Bucktown areas. And so all of these, neighborhoods, the restaurants, the cafes, they've
Mm,
really fueled us. They've really looked out for me, on those times where I'm, even going to work in the middle of the night when I work the assignment desk at NBC. And, I have these relationships with these people because I frequent their businesses. So a lot of that is what Eats from the Streets is. And, when we were talking, I know you and probably a lot of us grew up watching 106 in Park,
yep.
watching Sita, Hits from the Streets,
Freestyle
right?
Friday
And, that time was so special, right? In
was.
television. And that was a connecting moment for us, for the culture. And so it came to me that I was like, Eats from the Streets sounds actually really great because
Mhm.
that's what we're up to. We're exploring, we're going into these restaurants and really capturing, the stories and the essence and the food and what it took from, a chef coming from Colombia and his base and roots are there. And then now he's a restaurant owner in Wicker Park and what
Mhm.
that story looks like and how it then meets us on the table with our plates and our dinner dates and our group dates and our hangouts and all of
I
that.
was just wondering, just because I know you said you are a plant-based vegan. And so
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sit here and call me naive because I was like, y'all eat food, y'all
Yeah.
eat food. And so I,
I
I loved even the
know.
first thing being plant-based, a plant-based restaurant being in that first episode. So how do you feel like your diet, like what does that bring to the show?
Right. So what's really cool about our show is right, we kind of have that dynamic where I'm, the plant-based vegan on our team, and then Angel, she is more of a, she's open to all the variety of food, right? And so what I think my end of the show brings to the table is we have endless things to eat and enjoy. And honestly, there's so much more than say like when I even first moved to Chicago, restaurant options, places to shop at markets, and even just say like if you want a heavier dish during the week, but it might be too buttery, too salty, too rich, but how can you remix that version of the dish and still capture the essence and the flavor, but it's not as heavy, so you can still bounce around your day. So that's one of the things that eating this way really gave me is say a taste from home, but more light because in Chicago we're moving, we're shaking, we're
Right.
bouncing, we're all around, we have a lot
Everywhere.
going on. So it's always nice to have the taste, but at the same time I can't get the itis right now. I can't get under the covers to kind of relax. But so that's one of the things that my half of this show is exploring, more restaurants, more range and options for people to try, even if you don't necessarily have to be vegan, you don't necessarily have to be plant-based, but seeing how these chefs in these restaurants explore, say, like an eggplant dish, a mushroom dish, and
Mhm.
you can take these dishes and do them at home and create them at home. I get to asking all the questions about like, where did y'all get this? And da 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 da. And they source. We're gonna have episodes where we're gonna go to the garden houses. We're gonna go to where the farmers and things like that create these herbs
Okay.
and the lettuces and
That's
things
a
like
sneak
that
peek.
because a lot of these places, the restaurant owners and chefs, they source from these places for produce, or we can buy our produce and create these dishes or our own versions of these dishes. And so that's the thing. Like, I want people to just, it's like an open-minded side to explore and just open up your realm of what you can eat. I mean, you can have your steak, your chicken, and your plant-based dishes too. But then for those people who are looking for primarily plant-based or vegan dishes, vegetarian dishes, things like that, then there's something for them too.
Okay. Well, I know that you guys, you and Angel are both multimedia creatives. How do you guys like kind of chop up the workload? Like who's producing this episode? Who's filming this episode? Who's creating this short? Like I feel like that's a lot of work for two people. So how do you guys like slice and dice that up?
Yeah, so with both of us coming from, say, like those backgrounds of news and producing and getting out, say, like the press information, getting the schedule together, getting participants and people locked into this. That's the one layer. And then what happens is that we thought of it like, hey, let's think of this of like how many episodes do we want to film this season
Mhm.
and what does that look like so we can rotate. So say like, I ended up going with our first episode at Bloom and then Angel with etc Chicago, and then we kind of just been going back and forth in that way. And then of course depending on demands and schedules and editing and our personal lives and that kind of thing, we kind of were rotated. But the idea was, hey, we're going to have a set amount of episodes and we're going to break everything in half, and then I'll be behind the camera filming and shooting. So you probably saw like on Instagram where Angel was in front of the camera with Chef Lamar at et cetera, Chicago. And, I was producing and doing my thing in the back, directing, if you will, and that kind of thing. And then Angel was our host. And then on the flip side, Angel was the producer and director of the Bloom episode, and I was the host in ways. But then, we want to bring each other in because I think that part is necessary
Yeah.
too. From the plant-based vegan, have me sitting down talking to the chef, and then someone who's like, "Hey, I'm not, but I'm curious. So can you answer these certain questions for me?" So yeah, we had a lot of fun with that. But yeah, so that's the thing. So we've had a conversation about even building out the team and getting even more people involved because East from the Streets can be national, global, like we can do all
We saw
kinds of
you
it's
way up
endless.
north in Milwaukee. We know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's endless, what we can do. But I know we definitely are talking about growing a team because, right, every other episodes we switch hats. So it's like producer, director for this one, and then now you're host on camera for that one, and then we just flip flop it. And that's been working out right now. And then as far as the edits and things like that on socials, we, have a schedule. We kind of map out those things, and depending on who produced or who directed and that kind of thing, then we'll push out the IG socials and things like that, Twitter or TikTok and that kind of thing out as
Yes.
we can.
Speaking of pushing out, because y'all are teasing us a little bit right now. I know I saw that visual, like, oh, we're doing a little photo shoot International Women's Day, and I'm like, okay, I feel like a Beyonce fan, so I'm like, where are the visuals? I'm ready to see the pop.
Yeah, yes, I know, right? So you are right. And yeah, this March, this past March, International Women's Day was so fun. Like, it was one of those moments where you brought a team together, photographer, videographer, all of us are doing incredible things in Chicago. And we all haven't worked together and brought our worlds together. And so it was a sunny day. It was such just one of those days in Chicago that you love because then we went and ate after and
Of course.
just really had a great time vibing with each other and creating. And so, yep, we will be getting those visuals out and doing some fun things with those soon. And I really appreciate your energy because,
Mhm.
yes, absolutely. It is definitely on the way, but you know how it goes too,
Yes, I
with
do.
us not having necessarily like a team of 10 or that kind of thing. It's all right, like, how the timing of how we're going to put things out and how they're going to look, or two, what makes sense for things that are on the way and things that we have in the deck. And so we're trying to line up all of that too. And yeah, just keep
We're
growing and
excited.
growing.
We're sending people your way. People are going to be like, following, sharing, looking at this content. So, can you ask them where they can find out about you guys, where they need to look to get the content?
Absolutely. Yeah. So First off, my absolute favorite social media is Instagram. I'm such an Instagram baby. Like I was there when Facebook came along and was doing our thing in the college years and all of that. And then when IG came, I was like, oh, this is me. However y'all want to take it. If we gonna do reels now, I'm on it. If we gonna do just the still, we're gonna go back to that. I'm with it. Like however we gonna rock with it. So IG Eats from the Streets. You can do all lowercase with a little underscore
Okay.
for on Instagram, and then TikTok. Same thing, Eats from the Streets, but you will drop the underscore. And
Okay.
that's all connected too. So if you go to our Instagram page, then that links you to TikTok and that links you to our YouTube. And so we're Eats from the Streets, just all straight up Eats from the Streets with our fun little yellow logo. So if you see the yellow background, that is our logo currently. And yeah, follow us on YouTube because that's where we'll follow, subscribe,
Mhm.
comment, all that, because that's
Click,
what
click,
we'll
click,
be
click, click.
posting, right? The full episodes on YouTube. But then
Okay.
as far as, what we're up to in the meantime, in between time,
Mhm.
it's TikTok and then definitely primarily our IG page.
Okay, okay. So we're gonna switch up the energy just a little bit for this next little segment because we know about East from the Streets. We, the NABJ chapter of Chicago, are already subscribed, already waiting. We'll be pumping you throughout the entire experience. But we want to know a little bit about you. Like I said, I know you're one half of our Eats from the Streets co-host, but I have a challenge for you. It's called BTS with the guest. We're gonna ask you like a little speed round of questions just to get a feel from who you are. Of course, Chicago-based questions, and then just it's kind of like just don't think too hard. Answer as you go. All right, you ready?
All right.
Marquita. Okay, first, since this is Eats from the Streets, I had to do some Chicago style food. Would you say you are a tavern style or deep dish pizza?
Tavern style all day.
Okay, okay.
Like
Italian beef or sweet steak?
Italian beef.
Okay. I don't know why y'all like y'all meats wet here. I'm still trying to learn, I'm about 3 years in, but I'm getting to it. Rainbow cone or Italian ice?
Ooh.
Mm.
Ooh.
Oh, you gotta pick, you gotta pick.
Okay, I will go with Italian ice.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. Okay. Are you a percolator or a Chicago stepper?
Oh man,
Ooh,
definitely a stepper. I'm a
okay.
stepper, but I can percolate,
Oh,
so we
you
can go.
can.
We
We
can
see you. Okay. What is the best advice you've been given lately?
lately. The best
Mhm.
advice I've been given lately, I would say. Best advice, best advice. You know what? One of the things that this morning, if I'm going to say lately, this morning came across my my feed,
Mhm.
which falls right in line
Mhm.
with what we're up to with Eats from the Streets, is our guy, Anthony Bourdain, where he said, traveling is education for living. And I know we've
Mhm.
probably seen that quote, some people, but it's such like a loving, gentle reminder that my even my relationship with food started that way, where I started expanding my my livelihood in food when I went on study abroad in Michigan State in undergrad and was in London and Italy and Scotland and Wales and Edinburgh and all of that, and the food culture there and how they had like, they ate smaller portions of things, and they shopped every, say, maybe 2 to 3 days at the local markets and that kind of thing. And so that's really where my relationship with food kind of started early on. I kind of was tiptoeing in that realm bit by bit. And then when I moved to Chicago, it really just expanded even more, living in the different neighborhoods. But yeah, so traveling is education for a living. I know the beginning of that quote, it says, traveling isn't reward for working. it's education for a living. And so I definitely would leave that with anyone because when you really think about food and your relationship with it and where you've been, where you're going, where you're at, and that's like a huge base to how we fuel ourselves daily is through food. And it's really important and it helps us, to get up and go throughout our days and
Yeah, we
do
needed to live. Some
you know
people
what
that
I'm saying? You
smell of
really need it.
coffee, it wakes them up.
So when he says education for living, I'm like, yes, because my thought process of like how I shop at markets and produce and that kind of thing, it's like in my mind, I only want to shop and be good for 2 weeks. But what about, your relationship with produce and things like that? You might got to go to the market every 3 days and like just on and on. It's so many different layers and ways you could think about it. But yeah, I definitely will leave that quote with everybody. That's something that is always just so unique. It kind of makes you take a pause and be even more intentional in moments, your relationship and moments with food and when you're traveling and that extra intentionality behind it. So yeah.
What is the last thing that you've read?
The last thing that I read, and I'm singing it because that's how it made me feel. So, Sibo Campbell, the author, Sibo Campbell,
Okay.
Sky Full of Elephants. So I read that book, and man, it's one of those kind of books that it takes you on this ride of Black culture and uh, Afrofuturism and things like that. And I won't go into deep detail about it, but kind of like in the realm of like what folks are doing, say like with the movie that just released Sinners, the creators and directors and writers, what they're up to who else? What's our guy, the creator of like Get Out and
Jordan Peele?
yes,
Okay.
Jordan Peele, like those movies, kind of like in that vein in ways,
Hmm.
book. But he has his own really beautiful approach. And I bring that up because he could definitely turn that book into a script. Like he could turn it
Okay.
into a movie. I started to visually see it. And I'm actually, we created a group called Redefine,
Hmm.
and we're a community book and wellness co-ed experience. And yeah, that was our latest book. We just
Girl, I
finished
already found you
that
and you're already in the next newsletter coming out. I don't want to date this podcast, so let
one.
me not tell y'all when it's coming out. But if you are a member of NABJ Chicago, you get newsletters and opportunities like this. So, Marquita, you said multimedia talented awesomeness. I'm so happy that you were able to talk to me today. And one thing we already knew you were before you came on is a NABJ Chicago chapter member. So if you are not, please join us. We are literally culturally Chicago and nationally Black, creating content everywhere we go. And so we want to thank Marquita for joining us today. And we're going to see you guys later.
All right, y'all. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Let Me Find Out is a collaborative production co-hosted by members of the Chicago chapter of the National Association of Black Journalists. Intro video by B Squared Productions led by Brett Brooks. Captions and graphics generated by CapCut. Post-production by lead editor Lee Edwards. This podcast was hosted by Leona Towner. Follow us on Instagram at NABJ Chicago. Subscribe to our YouTube by typing the letters NABJ and then fully spelling out Chicago chapter to find our page. Until next time, peace out.